In the 70s and 80s, motorcycle development came along in leaps and bounds, some say to motorcycles' detriment. It wasn't until the mid-80s though that fully faired bikes were mainstream. Before that, performance bikes were unfaired. Think of the likes of Norton Commando, Honda CB750 and the Kawasaki Z900. These were among popular sports bikes of that era. Now, imagine if they stayed unfaired. This is Kawasaki's take on a modern unfaired bike, the Z1000. Now, there is a more retro bike, the Z900 RS, and they're a fantastic bike, but we're here to focus on the Z1000. The 1000cc is a touch above that at 1043cc. The engine punches out 101.5 kilowatts at 9,600 RPM and 110 Newton meters of torque at 7,800 RPM. You can really feel the power coming in from about 2,500 RPM. Now, for me, this is a sweet spot for road bikes. You really don't need much more power than this. And even though it's European equivalents of the same era put out more power, acceleration is extremely brisk and it's more than enough power for on the road. Now, features wise, it comes with ABS and that's pretty much it. There are no rider aids to speak of. The dash itself is quite a basic unit. The tacho goes from an LCD to an LED configuration once you get past 3,000 RPMs. The dash is quite small and doesn't have too many features. It's pretty much got your 2 trip meters, instantaneous fuel consumption, which wasn't working on this one, average fuel, distance to empty, and temperature, and I think that's about it. But going in with a feature of the bike of a simplistic, bare bones bike, it's spot on. One of the other features I did like this clear brake, just more aesthetics. It looks really good. Now, the owner actually done the right thing with this one and he got rid of anything to make it look bulky, and you can really make these bikes look compact. And he got rid of the standard mirrors and put bar end mirrors on, changed the exhaust from the standard exhaust is a touch bulky. This one's got Yoshi mirrors and it sounds fantastic. Other accessories were your typical quad lock for your phone. And he also put on a fender eliminator. One of the bike's weaknesses is it has bugger all storage capacity. And not only that, the pillion seat is pretty much very small trips only and doesn't look overly comfortable. The Z900 would be the better option, but again, there was nowhere really to tie any sort of luggage down, so quite smartly, when he does big distances, he's got the Ventura bags, so they're able to carry some luggage. Now, mechanical issues for these bikes, the main one for the Kawasaki Z1000 is the 4th gear. There's been many reported issues of the gears slipping and also jumping out of 4th gear. Now, this bike's done 60,000 Ks and there's no evidence of any issue with 4th gear. So it could come down to isolated incidences, it could just be bad luck, or possibly even the way the bike's ridden. So if you are to test ride one of these, definitely make sure 4th gear is in good condition. Now, the only real issue the owner of this bike has had was the rear seat. The stitching started to come apart, but he was able to order a factory seat from Kawasaki still. Now, this is a 2014 model and he ordered that seat about 12 months ago and they had it in stock. This is excellent and much better compared to some of your other manufacturers. What it's like to ride, well, as I said, it feels like a bike you actually sit on and not in. Now, the leg position is quite comfy. It sits in quite nicely, but when you're riding it, it feels like there's nothing in front of you. It actually feels very scooterish until you open the throttle. Then you definitely know you're not on a scooter. The bike itself handles beautifully. Now, I've come from a GS background and also the Moto Guzzi Grisso, so these handlebars felt quite narrow compared to my bike. You get used to it very quickly and it's a great bike for tucking into bends and having a lot of fun on. Now, riding it, the seat position, it feels like it's pushing you into the tank. So it encourages you to get your legs into it. So being a naked bike, you don't get much protection from the wind. And I pretty much got hit by wind from just above the belly button upwards. So it's really only the tank that's really protecting you. Now, I don't know if it's because of the Yoshimura exhaust, but I did notice when you got above 3,000 RPM, you do start to feel vibration in the bars and the seat. Now, it's not uncomfortable, but you can just feel it. And it's just something to be aware of. Other than that, the controls, very basic. You've got your high and low beam, horn, left and right indicator, and engine kill switch, and that's about it. There's 2 buttons on the dash, one to toggle through trip meters and a few other indicators, and the other to reset, and that's pretty much it. Now, these bikes have been around for a long time. This one came out in 2014, and you can still buy a brand new one from the showroom today. Prices range from about $7,500 and they just go up to about $19,500 for a brand new one. So do they make an excellent commuter? Well, I think they do. It's so compact and narrow. It's got a great motor, and because of how compact it is, it's easy to park in busy streets. One of the advantages of how compact it is, lane filtering is a piece of cake, and a U-turn is very easy on one of these bikes. The only downside, as I said earlier, no real storage, so definitely have a Ventura rack. Tyres are pretty much standard fare, the same as your sports bike tyres. So you've got 120/70 17s at the front, and this one's got a 190/50 17 at the rear. The suspension is very similar to sports bikes. Great on the smoother road, good round corners, but when you get some rougher roads, you really start to feel the suspension really working a bit too hard. Now the looks are a bit, you either love them or you don't. This one's been described as a bit of a Predator look, and it makes sense. It's so much better than the Z1000 that came out before. It just didn't look anywhere near as good as this one. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, check out some other reviews like the Kawasaki GTR 1400 right here.